Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another Spooky Sunday video. I hope you are well, I hope you're having a really good day. If you are new here, I would love if you decided to subscribe after watching this video. We'd love to have you join us. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. I love you. But in today's video I found this really interesting article. Obviously, as always, I'll have the source linked in the description in case you want to go and check it out, but the title drew me in. A lot of the videos I'm pre-filming today, the titles drew me in, so hopefully it doesn't let me down. The title is Real Police Officers Describe Their Creepiest Unsolved Cases. So I know it's no videos to watch and it's just going to be reading stories, but I thought it would be really interesting. So without further ado, let's get on into today's video and I hope you all like it. So like I said, we are going to be looking at the creepiest unsolved cases by police officers, and I'm just going to read all the stories to you and then we will talk about them. First one says, a mother cooked dinner from the afterlife. It was my uncle who used to be a cop in Hong Kong. He was patrolling the street on his own and received a smell complaint call from an apartment building nearby. So he reached the location and met the person who made the complaint and found out where the smell was coming from. He rung the doorbell, a little girl opened the door. As soon as the door was opened, he knew someone had passed. The little girl was about 5 or 6 years old. My uncle was informed that there were only the little girl and her grandma living in the apartment. They were immigrants from China. My uncle walked into the apartment and noticed that there was a freshly made meal. He went to the room where the smell was coming from and found the woman's body. My uncle was puzzled by the freshly made meal because the little girl was not tall enough to reach the stove or the countertop. And it also puzzled him that the little girl could cook. Chinese food is pretty complex in their recipes. When my uncle asked the little girl who made this, she said it was her mother. Later he found out that the little girl's mother passed from a stroke about a week ago. So I'm so confused. Was the woman who passed away her mom? And are they saying that the mom's ghost made the meal? There's no human in the meal, is there? I'm so confused by this story. I think they're saying that the mom passed away on the bed and that was who was in the bedroom, and that the ghost made food. I don't know. This story kind of confused me, I'm not gonna lie. The next one says, the morning he left his glasses at home. I was in a junior police academy and one of the cops told us about a call they got a while back. And this is true, no joke. I'll tell it like a story with the details that I know. A wife and husband had recently got married and everything was all fine and dandy. They were just working towards the American dream. House with white picket fence, 3 cars, 2.5 kids, you know how it is. Can you have 2.5 kids? Can you have half a kid? I don't know, I'm confused. Anyway, the husband and wife wake up one day and go about their usual routine. The husband kisses his wife goodbye and heads off for work. Nothing strange, except the wife notices the husband left his glasses, which she knew he really needed for his work. So she tries calling him and he doesn't pick up. She figures, what the heck? I'm not doing anything today. So she decides to drop off his glasses to him. His work wasn't that far anyways. So she gets in the car and heads off to her hubby's work. But as she's driving, she sees a car pulled off onto a dirt road and recognises it as her husband's car. So she pulls off the main road and down into the dirt a bit to see if she sees her husband. Sure enough, she sees him standing off to the side of the road a bit. She gets out of the car and calls his name. He turns his head to look at her, lights a match and instantly catches fire. The cops showed us a picture of his body ablaze in the fetal position, all charred. They never found out why he did it. Can you imagine being the wife and seeing that? I would literally cry. Well, I don't think anybody would cry, but I thought a lot of these stories were going to be murder cases, so I don't know. What a painful way to go. I feel really sorry for the wife. I would have literally hated to see that. This one says, they got the corpse wrong. My mother was a detective who told me this one. An elderly man who hasn't seen his daughter in a year was reading the newspaper and in one of those pictures he sees his daughter in the street. He hires a private investigator who finds her. They talk and she recognises him and the DNA matched out. Here's the clincher though. The reason he hasn't seen his daughter in a year is because she passed away from leukemia. They dig up the corpse and discover it's a man who had a heart attack and not his daughter. There's pics and medical records and the girl in the photo has no recollection of a week before being diagnosed, but remembered for some reason she wasn't allowed to contact the family. They never found the girl's body, knew who the man was, found out where the girl had been, and the hospital has no records of the doctor who treated the girl. That was difficult to read. I'm really confused. So I'm guessing a man was looking for his daughter. Wait. A man was looking for his daughter and then they find her. She recognises him and the DNA matches. And he hasn't seen her for a year because she passed away from leukemia. But if he knows he hasn't seen her in a year because she's passed away from leukemia, why did he hire a private investigator to look for her? Why is there also a different man's body in her grave, I'm guessing? This story blagged my mind. Let me know if you understand it, because I literally have no idea what any of it means. I don't know if I'm necessarily creeped out. I think I'm just really confused. Maybe it's the way it's written, but I just don't understand. If he knew she died, why was he looking for her? And why was there a man in her grave and all this stuff? It's so confusing. I don't get it. Hi guys, I'm just editing this video and I understand it now. It seems like the girl got kidnapped. I don't know why I didn't understand that while I was doing the video, but I get it now. I'm sorry. This one says, a campus legend might be true. I worked for a university police department. One night we had a call about some kids dicking around in one of the old shut down dorms they were trying to renovate. Me and my buddy get there and search the building. It was just 3 stories, so it didn't take us long to find these kids, trying to have what I guess you could call a ghost hunt. They're on the 3rd floor of the building in an old dorm with cameras and stuff. So I asked what they're doing, and they said that there was a story about a girl who met her demise in the dorms and they wanted to record her voice on tape. Neither my buddy nor I believe in ghosts, so we just laughed at them. I started calling in their information while my buddy was walking around the hall outside. Suddenly we heard this blood-curdling scream coming from down the hall. My buddy goes to check it out and I asked the kids if they had another friend. They told me no. I call for my buddy and on the radio he doesn't answer. So I grab the kids and we go down the stairs opposite of where my buddy had gone, and then I get them outside. I tried calling my buddy once again. I got the kids outside and he didn't answer, so I went to look for him. Kept all the kids' IDs in case they booked it. I found him on the 1st floor shining his flashlight down into the basement. When I walked up on him, he just looked at me and said, I heard footsteps down there. I told him we should go and search it together. He told me no, and that he had just been down there and there was no one. We got outside and called for backup because my radio didn't work in the building, and got a couple more guys to search the building, and they didn't find anything. It still creeps me out to think about it, and maybe there was a ghost after all. Should let the kids find it. I understand going to get them because if they're renovating it, obviously it could be dangerous. There could be scaffolding, there could be wet paint, I don't know, there could be tools that could be stolen. I'm not 100% sure, so I understand why they had to go and get them. But if I was those kids and I was buzzing to like get this ghost on camera and I didn't, but the security guards that found me did, I would be fuming. I'd be like, fuck's sake, why do you have to do it? Also, imagine being the people that had to stay in them dorms after it's renovated. No thank you. This one's called Suspected Cult Activity. My old religion teacher used to be a detective here in Aussie land. Weirdest story we ever got out of him was about an abandoned church which they got called out to. The place was just covered in blood. The walls, floor, ceiling, in parts was just painted with it. Said there was so much that it would have at least had to have been from 6 or 7 people. They never ever found bodies or anything of the alike. It was related to a cult that they were chasing, but as far as that particular story goes, he said there was never any closure or answer for him. You know those people that join cults and then they come out and they do their story times? It always sounds so terrifying. Like, there's never a good cult story, because cults obviously aren't a good thing. Obviously Khlo. Maybe human sacrifice or animal sacrifice. It could have been animals, like a lot of animals. Instead of 7 people, it could have been loads of animals, and maybe that's why they didn't find bodies. Or it could have been humans and then they got rid of the bodies. See, obviously I'm studying criminology and I want to be a detective, but I think unsolved cases would stress me out because I always want an answer and I'm always curious. So I would want the answers, and I feel like having to live with an unsolved case would really stress me out, especially if it's like a murder, because I would want the person that's been murdered to have justice. This one's called He Has Seen Too Much. My uncle was a cop in Florida in the 90s. They were finding deceased kids by the interstate for maybe 5 years or so before my uncle retired. No suspects. Kids were abducted within 100 miles or so. At the peak, it'd be 1 body every 2 months, but usually they found 2 a year, never been solved. After he retired, evidence, photos and some of those cases got destroyed in a flood. His department would call him when a similar case came through, so he'd reproduce the details for them. He stopped responding to those requests at some point, said he wants to live the rest of his life without seeing another deceased child. I've never heard of this before, and obviously if it's such a huge case, especially like children as well, you'd think that some of the true crime channels would have covered it. If anybody knows about this and knows maybe what the case is called, or if anybody's covered it before. I've never heard of this before. Also, I understand that detective not wanting to see like a deceased child. I started studying to do criminology in university in like 2014 at college to try and get the grades to go to uni, and at the time I decided not to do it and I didn't want to do it and I quit because the thought of children being murdered. I didn't want to see that. And then obviously it took me years until now to decide that I could do it. But I understand that. I think the thought of just seeing like a deceased child is so sad because they're so innocent. Deceased anyone, no one deserves to be murdered ever, okay? But there's something about children, it just makes me really, really sad. And it would make me really, really angry. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and end today's video here. I hope you all liked it. I didn't read all the stories on there. There's so many on there. So I will have the source linked in the description in case you want to go and read them. If you like the video, please remember to smash a massive thumbs up. Remember to subscribe. And until next time, I will see you all soon. Peace.